What is up, your other watchers? Alex back here, bringing you this time a different kind of video here today. We have ourselves the video that I uploaded yesterday. This is the shock of drafting Vasili Podkolzin, and this video was pretty much me just asking you, okay, I was shocked when we drafted Podkolzin, I wasn't expecting it, what was your reaction? So, I have a whole bunch of comments, and normally I make it a point to reply to most of the comments that I get, but as you can see, I didn't reply to any of the comments here. That's because I wanted to read your reactions and play them onto this video as well. I also made a little Twitter poll when I shared this video here on Twitter, and I got a really good reception from that poll as well. So we'll be looking at both of those over here in this video, and just analyzing what everybody else thought, because I already shared my piece, my 2 cents. I had no idea that the Canucks were going to draft Podkolzin, and I wanted to discover if that was the case with you, too. So going through these comments here, at first I was like, he's signed for the KHL for 2 years, then at 10 we can expect another 2 or 3 years anyways. Yep, that's very, very much true. Podkolzin, top 3 player in the draft, that's debatable, but he did drop because of the 2 years, that's very much obvious as well. Most draft picks need a couple years to develop, yep, for sure. He was projected to go possibly 3 or 4, yep, that's very much true. He was projected to go there quite a bit throughout the entire year. Here we go, I did not think the Canucks would pick him, yep. I didn't either. Like Pettersson, I had no idea who he was. You know, for Podkolzin, I obviously knew who he was, but for Pettersson, I had no idea who Pettersson was. I wasn't really paying attention to hockey personally too much throughout the 2016-17 season, so when we drafted Elias Pettersson, I had no idea who that was. Steel draft, next Bure, interesting, okay. Fairly happy when we picked Podkolzin, although of course I was surprised that we didn't pick Caulfield. Yep, that's very much true, I could definitely understand that. Holding my breath for Caulfield? Yeah, same, man. You see my video reaction, I was kind of doing the same thing. I wasn't ecstatic? Yep, that's kind of me too. I was intrigued. The Canucks somehow managed to draft a player who was once ranked 3rd in the 10th spot. Yep, that's pretty much what happened. I was yelling and jumping up and down thinking, Caulfield, but I forgot about Podkolzin. Yep, absolutely, same thing with me, man. Top 5 player in the draft, yep, that's a very valid opinion to hold. He was not drafted before because of the 2 years. Yeah, we've already talked about that a little bit. I was surprised since I thought we would pick Krebs, a left wing, but Benning kept saying he would pick the best guy available. So after looking up Podkolzin, seeing what he was supposed to be, top 3 pick, yep, that's very much true. Benning did go with his gut here with the best player available. Even if he did not end up having top liner, having a player like this in a team, it's really important. Yep, that's pretty much true to have, yep. I had put in my head that Podkolzin would be gone a lot sooner and didn't think the Canucks were interested in him. Yep, I can definitely understand that. I was at the draft and the first thing I said was, wow. The first thing that I said was, we're drafting Podkolzin. And I was like, whoa. Ah, man. Positive reaction at first since he was high up in the rankings, then I watched his highlights and didn't see anything special other than great work ethic. That's a very interesting perspective. I think, yeah, this scouting video over here kind of brings up that same idea. He does work really hard, but he proposes the question, how far is work ethic able to take him? That's a very interesting perspective, yeah. I think it's definitely something that we have to entertain, but I don't think it's something that's necessarily indicative of how successful he will be at the NHL. Very excited about Podkolzin. When I snapped my friend, he got salty because he wanted us to draft Caulfield. Hey man, I wanted Caulfield too, but Caulfield's a hab now, so I'm really good with that as well. I thought he would be off the board by 10. When he wasn't selected at 9th, I begged the hockey gods for Benning to select him. I couldn't be more happier. He's a solid top 6 prospect, and I couldn't be more happy. Yeah, okay. There we go. We got one who was actually really hoping to get Podkolzin when he was available. Okay. When I was at the draft and the Canucks picked Podkolzin, everyone in Rogers Arena was woeing in shock. I think that's honestly quite accurate. Just rewatching the draft video of when Podkolzin was drafted, you could hear a whole bunch of woes in the audience. I think that's very accurate recount from Nicholas over here. I saw it coming after the 9th and said out loud, oh no, it's the Russian or the Smurf. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Okay. I was happy when Pettersson got drafted because I wanted Pettersson, but upset when we got Podkolzin. Starting to like Podkolzin more now. Okay. Canucks have their 2021st. Debatable. I'm happy about the pick, but I was shocked. Yep, same here. When the Breadman was rumored to coming here, I tweeted the Canucks might go Russian in the first round. So Pavel Dorofiev then. Just kidding. Podkolzin play kind of reminds me of Virtanen, north-south play and cracks the net. Hopefully he gives us more than Vert. Yep, I very much agree there. I think the play style is quite similar, but there is more of an offensive flair to Podkolzin. I love hearing about you talking about prospects. Please continue. Best hockey YouTuber ever. That's not really true, but thank you. Thank you very much for the kind words, Sam. Super shocked too. Had no idea we had any interest. Yep, that's the consensus that I've seen. Great player. Better stop skating with his head down, low, and forward. Otherwise, Taylor Hall-like injuries will happen. Yeah, that's kind of something that he needs to work on too. He does have the head down quite a lot. I was at the draft and I called Podkolzin to the Canucks. I was like the only one in the crowd in the area. Wow. Really good for you then, Steven. Bro, why you gotta do Buffalo like that in the Cup final? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna reply to this one. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, okay. Going into the draft, I wanted Broberg or Zegras, and then the second, Holmstrom, Hoglander, or Pelche. Well, Pelche was gone by the mid-20s, so there we go. How did you react when Elias was drafted? Well, I kind of talked about it a little bit. I wasn't really super hyped, but I wasn't disappointed because I had no idea who Pettersson was. Personally, I was rooting for Mittelstadt because he's the guy that I saw the most of in the high school leagues, but Pettersson is a good pick too. I really liked it. Never thought about Podkolzin could be the steal of this year's draft for the Canucks. Podkolzin could be that future power forward that they need. If Vert can get 20 goals or better this season, then the forward position for the Canucks looks even brighter. Yes, Podkolzin has a lot of skill and is strong on his feet, even when pressured through traffic. Yep, very nice analysis of Vasili Podkolzin in his game. Not a big fan of Vancouver, but when I saw the pick, I was like, oh darn, I thought he'd drop more to Vegas or something. Wow, Vegas was at 17. That's a big drop, actually. The thought of Podkolzin never crossed my mind either. Yep. I was shocked because I'd heard of Vancouver being linked to Krebs, Newhook, Zegras, not Podkolzin. Yeah, that's very much true. That's pretty much what I've seen as well. I'm a little shocked if the Canucks feel they need a blue-collar workhorse. I guess I'm alright with it. Yep. I was in the rafters of Rogers Arena at the draft. I was totally surprised. For months, Podkolzin was one of the two picks I had ranked on my list near the bottom of who we should pick. Still on the board, I had Boldy, Caulfield, Soderstrom, Krebs, and Newhook as best picks available. Then after his name was called, the crowd of bros next to me started cheering and I realized, hey, it's Podkolzin's day. Cheer our new boy on. And I did. If this turns out to be one of those amazing first rounds, where almost every pick has a darn good NHL career, I'd hate to be the team that whiffed on one of those players. After getting over the "woo won't know for 2 years" shock, I'm very willing to give Benning and Podkolzin the chance. Okay, yeah, absolutely. His face in the thumbnail, yep, that was a nice picture. Newhook's stock really rose from late round to first round to top 10 leading up into the draft. I find when prospects work up the draft lineup quickly, and without quantifiable reasons, it's normally just due to pure hype of an underground syndrome. That's a very interesting perspective. Yeah, I really like that, Joseph. Krebs could have been picked, but knowing Benning, he has a good history of making good picks. I trust the GM pick. I believe Pod was ranked top 5 ahead of the draft, but have no idea if Benning was really going with that ranking or just his gut feeling on the player. Okay, that's a fair one. I wanted Podkolzin to be drafted by Chicago, 3rd overall. Wow, you're with Keith Freeze, then. I was worried he doesn't have good highlight videos. Okay. Worry no more, though, because I think we're going to have a lot more highlights once he steps into the KHL. I was really happy we got him. Yep, okay, same here. Who needs the lottery anyway? Yep, okay. This pick was pure shock factor because we haven't drafted Russians in a long while. After Zegras, I had no preference, so I was fine with it. People who think Canucks fans were booing were wrong. We were just very surprised, and ended up giving Podkolzin a standing ovation. That's really nice to see. That's actually really nice to see. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna read that. I didn't think Vancouver would take him. Yep, same here. Consolidated rankings had him 3 for most of the year. It's possible that recency bias and the chatter around the US NTTP was influencing people towards the draft. They just wanted someone from that program. I very much agree. Yeah, I think that's definitely the case here. My poll on Twitter actually does showcase that perspective a little bit more. I'm happy with the pick, but definitely surprised they took him. It didn't seem like a betting pick, and I had no idea he was on their radar, but I do think of all the available players, he has the most upside, so it was the right call. Yeah, okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. My honest thought was, thank God he didn't go 6th. Cider went 6th, though, so interesting. Not a Canucks fan, but was thinking it was a really good pick because I wanted the Wild to get him, which might persuade Kirill to come over from Russia. Oh, very interesting perspective, yeah. Kirill Kaprizov is doing absolutely wondrous right now, and he's actually still in Russia, so I was surprised. I thought we would pick a Canadian or an American. I didn't expect us to draft Podkolzin because of our early draft history. Yeah, that's very much true. Jolevi, Pedersen, Brock, and the guy from last year, Quinn Hughes. So we're going American and Finnish and Swedish throughout these picks, and Virtanen in 2014. So, yeah. TBH, I was happy with it because that's the guy they should pick, and the part of the draft where teams should start taking chances. I think he'll pan out no matter what, but how good can he be? I was praying that we'd take him when we came up to pick. Okay, so there's another one actually hoping that we took Podkolzin. Ecstatic about it. In 2 years, he'll be a dominant top 6 forward. Yep. I thought it was awesome. Yeah, that was really awesome. Risky. Okay, that's a very funny comment. I'm not going to reply to that. Not a Canucks fan, but it definitely surprised me. I thought Philly would take him 11th, but they traded down to 14 because they have an even better prospect pool than the Canucks. That's fair. That's really, really fair. Morgan Frost is really darn good. In a better position to take the risk that came with drafting him, yep. Honestly, still so shocked that the Hawks took Duck. Okay, why didn't we draft Caulfield, Newhook, or Krebs? Look at where they were picked. If any one of them was the following pick, you may have a point, but those guys went 5 picks later. We did the right thing. That's a very interesting and accurate representation of the draft here. If people were saying, oh, what about Caulfield, Newhook, or Krebs? Well, tell that to Arizona, tell that to Florida, tell that to Minnesota, tell that to, Philly. So, very interesting perspective right there. I think we all had the same reaction. I knew it was at one time ranked higher, but dropped. We all went to find out why he dropped and check him out on the internet. It's looking more and more like a steal at the draft. I really thought we would pick Caulfield and was disappointed when we didn't. Now that I know more about Podkolzin, I'm okay with it. Great YouTube channel from Surrey, love this channel, thank you very much. Ajay Wajaj. It's going to be an amazing pick. Remember when we selected Pedersen? The whole fan base was upset. I'm not gonna lie, I was one of them, but a guy like Podkolzin will have a Burrows-type role on the team. Clutch, playoff performer, and a fan favorite. I was surprised he dropped to 10, yep, me too. I was in the building hoping the Canucks would get Zegras. Entering the draft night, I didn't think Podkolzin would be available at 10, and I thought somebody like Detroit at 6 would have taken a shot at drafting him. I also thought based on the recent history with Russians, Tramkin and Goldobin, we won't likely be looking to draft a Russian. At the draft that night in the building when Anaheim went on stage for the 9th pick, I was just hoping don't be Zegras, and they picked Zegras. And then, yeah, this is a recap. Have a feeling the Canucks are going to take Newhook. Again, I didn't think the Canucks would take a shot at drafting a Russian. Yeah, pretty much. I geeked out on the draft harder than you. Ooh, okay. Well, I didn't really geek out. I kind of just, sat there, looking in shock. In the late spring, I made a spreadsheet on Google Docs to see where things were at. Interesting. I literally found 15 of the most reputable mock drafts and plotted the names from 1 to 10 for each. All the mocks had Hughes 1, Capo, Kako 2. In the spring, there was no consensus pick on number 3, but Podkolzin was ranked 3rd on 5 of the 15 mock drafts. As draft day approached, his stock plummeted a bit, with Button having him down at 14. Yep, I do remember that. But the naysayers didn't convince me to not want him. I don't think in 2 years in Russia is a big deal, nor the relationship between the Canucks and Tramkin years before. The compete level, big engine, big body, willingness to go to hard places, it was all not too much for me to pass up on. I jumped out of my seat when they took him. I'm hopeful he will be an absolute stud a few years from now. Maybe a poor man's Svechnikov on offense with more grit and tenacity. Very interesting. Yeah, no, I think a lot of the mock drafts did actually have Podkolzin ranked really highly up until the end. It's just Buttons that was a little bit different. I liked your reaction, honest live reaction. You look like you could have taken... Oh my goodness, jeez. Yeah, okay. a lot of people were shocked as well as you. So many questions about the 2 years and if he really wants to come to the NHL, and the Canucks had their heart set on Zegras, let's be honest. We thought there was a chance of the same thing that happened last year that would happen this year. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, thanks for liking my reaction, I guess. I fell asleep after Byram got drafted. Okay. I was there, I cheered, I was shocked given recent Russian player history. Maybe Tryamkin and Goldobin could be more comfortable in Vancouver. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I was also saying that we should get Panarin as well, because we got Podkolzin, Goldobin, Tryamkin, but obviously that didn't happen. You a model, broski, thank you. Happy and nervous. Okay. Is it just me or is it really difficult? Yeah, I replied to this one because I saw that. I do recognize that the gameplay, it was kind of whack. I did have Buffalo's jersey and Vancouver's 94 away jersey, so it does look very similar. I was surprised and pissed, just because I was very weary of drafting a Russian so high. After settling down, I liked the pick a lot. Of scouts and media had him ranked pretty high. Okay, yeah. So I think, just looking at a lot of these comments, there's a lot of consensus over here that nobody really thought that Podkolzin would be the guy. I think I read almost all of them. I mean, we're just going in the order of the YouTube comments right here. How long is this video? Jeez, this is a long video. So I guess we're gonna go over to my Twitter poll. So I posted the thing on Twitter, and I asked everybody on Twitter, if you're not following me on Twitter, by the way, LR99 Gaming, follow me over there. When the Canucks stepped up to the draft podium at the draft, who were you expecting them to draft? US NTDP, Newhook, Krebs, or Podkolzin? As you can see, 43% of the 407 votes said US NTDP. Only 11% said Podkolzin. If we do the math, 0.11 times 407, so around 45 people out of 407 were expecting Podkolzin. Everybody else was expecting somebody else. US NTDP, Newhook, or Krebs at the draft at 10th overall. So I think I've proven my point. Vasili Podkolzin is the guy that the Vancouver Canucks drafted, but a very large majority of the fan base was not expecting it. So yesterday I made my video talking about how I wasn't expecting the pick, and I asked you to tell me if you were surprised as well, and I think the common consensus that we can gather is that yes, a large majority of the Vancouver Canucks fan base was not expecting to draft Podkolzin. So that wraps everything up. Hope you enjoyed this video. Social Trust 99, and bye.